So welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Beverly Ebay. I'm an alumni member of the Crush That Exam program. And so I'm here with Dr. Cristina Rivera, and she's going to share a little bit about how she overcame this exam. So Dr. Rivera, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and where you are located?
Yes, of course. My name is Dr. Cristina Chévere Rivera. You can call me Dr. C or Dr. Cristina. That's totally okay. I am from Puerto Rico. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and then I moved to the United States almost 10 years ago for graduate school, and I've been here since then. I'm in Utah currently. I matched here for my internship, and I stayed for a postdoc position. The plan is to move back to Puerto Rico, hopefully really soon. It's a short-term goal for me. And I started working with Dr. Erica on the Crush That Exam program this last March, 2024.
That
So
is so
yeah.
amazing. That's
Yes.
amazing. So, tell us a little bit about what your exam experience was like before you started coaching this March. How many times did you take the exam, and what challenges did you face?
Yeah. So I took this exam 5 times, passing it on the fifth one while working with Dr. Erica. Before this experience, right, this last experience in which I passed, I did use some, can we say programs names, or should we avoid that?
Oh yeah, you're welcome to say what programs you used.
Yeah, that for the first experience I did by the psych prep program. So it was independent study while using these programs for the content material and for the practice exams. And then I used PrepJet. I did some consults with PrepJet, but they were like 5, 10 minute, like really brief consults. And I used ATAPS, practice exams. So I did use different programs. I tried to study several hours a week, but it was so didn't have any direction. I would get like really anxious. The thing with me is that I would actually study. It was not avoidance like related behaviors. It was more you should do it, but then I would get so distracted by anxious thoughts that my sessions were not that productive. And then when I would sit for the practice exams, I would not score that great because I would do lots of second guessing, not reading the questions, and breaking them down into pieces so that I knew that I was understanding what I was reading. In my case, English is my second language. So that's another, let's say, component to consider because it's like I was born and raised speaking in Spanish, right? And thinking in Spanish. And these questions are really hard sometimes, right? So yeah.
No, that is something really important for people to know in terms of just like what happens when you actually sit to study for this stuff. The
Mhm.
anxiety can get in the way. Can you talk a little bit more about how you manage that anxiety that would come up during studying? Is there anything that you would want people to know about how to approach that if they're also having some testing anxiety or studying anxiety?
Yeah. Yes, when I met with Dr. Erica, I tried to be one recommendation is to be as honest and as open as we can be with Dr. Erica so that she can actually help us identify the main goals for us. For me, it was mostly performance anxiety, and a really good recommendation would be to identify what are the core ineffective thinking patterns that you're having. In my case is like I will never pass this, right? I would fail the exam by 20, 15 points of the passing score. So I was like, I will never get to the 500. One other thing other than identifying the main core beliefs that you're holding about yourself and about the exam, it would be to do lots of like soothing, like calming your nervous system. I think that doing the breathing exercises before and after my study sessions helped me, and pleasure is incredible. This time, Dr. Beverly, I I went to Puerto Rico twice to see the family. I went to, because I'm in Utah, we went to Zion for a week, and I went to Disney with my mom and my child. So I did take certain trips just for pleasure. And I would also schedule ahead of time something pleasurable to do after study sessions. So those are some of the things that I did differently this time, along with the program, Dr. Erica's program, that is pretty structured, and I always knew what I had to do during my study session. So I was not just wondering what I'm doing today. No, I knew even like the night before that I'm sitting tomorrow at 10 a.m. to do physio. And that's going to be my next 4 hours. So yeah, anything else that do you think I could add? If you have any follow-up questions, let me know.
Oh, absolutely. No, that was really great. I mean, being able to give yourself rewards are a huge part of, increasing the motivation to study for this. And
Mhm,
so I also did something similar too when I was going through the coaching program. Giving myself those really nice rewards and the breaks are really important
mhm.
because it's a lot of information that you're taking in. And so that's really helpful. Tell me a little bit about how you found out about the coaching services and what made you, and you mentioned a little bit before about what made you decide to seek it, but how did you find it? How did you end up here?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I had Dr. Erica's like program link in my inbox, like email, like a year before decided to start working with her. I was so lost in my journey. I took the exam 2021, I think once, and then I took it in 2023, like 3 times that year, and I failed. It was like terrible. And a colleague was the one who said, "Hey, Cristina, I was on Facebook and I saw this like a therapies of color like a page, and they were talking, giving really good feedback about Dr. Erica. But I was so like sad, depressed, anxious that I just moved it to one of my folders. And when I failed that fourth time, I decided to take a break for that holiday because I was just getting sick constantly. I was depressed, and I took a break of like, I would say 4 months. And that's when I decided to go back to that folder. And I just opened that link and I just reached out to her. So it's just, who knows if I could have passed this exam before. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. It happened in this way, and now I look back and I'm really thankful for the journey. I have learned so much so far.
Yeah, timing is everything. And so it looks like you really had to wait for the right time that you were in the mental space,
Let's say
right?
it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It was the best time for you to do it, and that way you were ready to do it. And so that's wonderful. What are three things that you really liked when you joined the coaching program that you really like?
I think that the structure, like having, I like reading things. I like organized, structured things. So I think that her like worksheet and workbook, I don't know like how to say it, right? Her program, printing that out, listening to her audios was like just, it felt different for me. So that is structure of her program. I would say I did her like 101 like coaching sessions. So having those sessions, it was at the beginning weekly and then twice a week. And then by the end, for the last month, I would see Dr. Erica again once a week. Having that space to share, hey, these are the things that are going well. These are the challenges, and get that feedback from her and encouragement. I think that that was great. Like Dr. Erica, she knows her thing. She's great at this.
Yes, she
She's a great
is.
psychologist as well. Although these are not like psychotherapy sessions, these are coaching sessions. You can still get that soul of her as a psychologist. I would say that the integration of like taking notes, then doing the snowball in which we review the notes, and then taking that last month to do practice exams, that worked beautifully for me. Because in the past, I would try to study plus take practice exams in between, but that didn't work for me because I was not. It was that style of studying was not addressing my anxiety, and I would say that the Pomodoro method, it's something that changed, was a game changer for me. I even use it for work. to get things done. I use the
Yes.
25-minute, 5-minute break. That's the one that works for me, or 50 and 10 minutes of break. I would say that that was a game changer for me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it looks like you even learned things that you took away for life
For
that you can
life.
use for progress notes, right? Like this is how we can get work done. And I agree. I think this coaching program is so great for people with anxiety, for neurodiversity, ADHD, because it really helps with just having a plan of what to study when you sit down, right? It takes away from having to decide all of that anxiety from having to think about it in the moment. So that's
Oh
really
yeah,
helpful.
it is. It is indeed. The study sessions, I would go to the parallel study sessions uh on Saturdays is when I would do the 4 hours. And then I think that during the last 2 months before the exam, I would go to the weekdays one. Any break that I had at work, I would just go. I would pay for the monthly membership that would allow me to just join any session. That was really helpful just to see other people working on the screen, and having a leader guiding the session so that you don't have to keep track of time. That was another thing that I appreciated. Um, I'm referring people to Dr. Erica. Like I hear people like my friends, and it's like, oh, I just sent them the link. I don't want them to
No.
suffer what I suffered alone. Like there's no need for
No, same,
that.
same. Definitely send those referral links. They're needed and it works. The coaching program works as we both are testaments to.
Oh yeah.
And so how long did you actually end up doing the coaching program? You started in March this year. When did you complete it?
On Halloween is when I took my exam. So I
Wow.
started by the end of March. I think it was the 23rd of March. And as I said, I took like at least, let's say, 2 weeks of a vacation in total in between breaks. So yes, and then I got sick, in August. I remember that burnt out had visited me and I had to take another week of a break. So there was a space it was almost 6.5 months, I would say. I think that I could have done it in 6 months, but because of vacation and getting sick, it worked out. But yeah, Halloween I will never forget this Halloween, 2024.
You'll
Um,
never forget your date. That's what everybody
my
says.
day, yeah, yeah.
Everyone says once you pass, you don't forget your date. That's
Yes.
great.
I think that the longest session for me, out of the three phases, was the taking notes, the note taking. English is my second language. So at this point, I think in English. When I'm studying in English, I can just think in English. However, that bilingual brain is with Spanish tends to be more like longer when you talk. English is more concise. So it took me a little bit of time to make sure that my notes were concise, but that I could understand them, right? Because you want to make the notes your own. You don't want to just write it for someone else. You want to understand it and reflect your style. Is that what I'm trying to say? So that
Yeah.
was the one that took me longer. And one recommendation that I would have for people, especially the people like me that have taken this exam before, is that any notes that you had from your previous attempts, like rip that page apart and put tape, glue it, so that you can save time. I remember Dr. Erica asking me, but did you take notes? And I said, I didn't take that many, but those that I took, I just would take advantage of that, and I would put tape on my pads just to
That's
accelerate the process.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many different things like you can do and just like learning how to take notes too is something that I picked up on. It sounds like you did too from this coaching
Yes.
program. Yeah.
Abbreviations, right? Using lots of
Yes.
abbreviations. Dr. Erica would send me a list of some recommendations. Yeah, that was I don't know. I have like a basket under my desk with the notes, and I don't want to throw them away. People would say to me, "Are you gonna make like a fire out of your like a bonfire?" I was like, "No,
You
no, I
might
can't."
go back to them and read it sometimes.
Sometimes put it in my office in the future.
Exactly,
I don't want to get rid
exactly.
of them, honestly.
Exactly. I mean, those were some of the things that it sounds like really went well for coaching. What was the hardest hardest thing that you had to overcome while you were going through coaching?
Think about that. Notes, I loved it. Although it took me longer, I would just be so excited about writing notes. Of course, it was exhausting. I would say like the practice exams. That was my Babadook.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, tell us a little more about what
that
was
I
your
the anxiety, I tend to feel it in my body a lot, and like dealing with those like anxious thoughts, like concerned about my score. What if my score is not the best by the third exam or fourth exam? What if my scores never meet the baseline that Dr. Erica recommends? It was anticipation because I actually did pretty well. My scores uh, met the baseline. I was in the ballpark, like Dr. Erica would tell me. But because I had 4 failed attempts, I think that that little voice was still telling me that score won't be reflected on the HVP on the real exam. So I remember doing lots of like pre-writing, like journaling, but I would just write my unhelpful thought, try to get all of that out, and then rip it apart and throw it in the trash can. So that's something that I had to do almost every day for the last month, just to
wow.
survive, to get through my anxiety.
Wow. Wow. Good for you. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to find that helpful because test anxiety, performance anxiety is one of the biggest barriers to passing this exam. And so, people listening to this hopefully can get some feedback about what to do about
Yeah,
it.
I hope so. I hope that they feel less lonely. I remember feeling really alone, like seeing colleagues passing that exam. And of course, finding that balance into, I would get happy because good for them. And I would still empathize with myself that here you are, Cristina, still working on this exam, and people just moving on with their professional lives. So something that I had to work on is that I think that I got this from one of the alumni of this program that I went to one of those presentations. That I think that one of them, I don't remember the name of the doctor, that she said something like, "This is my garden. I will get rid of the flowers and weeds that do not belong to me." So I have like a bulletin board in front of me here at the desk that say, "This is my garden, get rid of the flowers that don't belong to you, no comparisons." I think that that helped me a lot on just getting in touch with my journey, that this is my story. It's pretty cool that at some point I will get to look back and think, yeah, you went through all of that and here you are, you're alive, nothing terrible happened.
Good. Yeah. And it is your story and you are on your own timeline as well. Do you think you would have is there anything like you wish you would have done differently during this journey that you've been on?
Going to Dr. Erica before, like,
That's what everybody says,
like
right? Going
that
earlier.
earlier when Dr. Kimberly, Dr. Applewhite, that my colleague, that when she sent me that link, that I would have actually emailed Dr. Erica. Um,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
maybe I would not have taken that exam 3 times in a row like I did on 2023. That people, yeah, I had certain pressure, like we were trying to keep an employment, right? And some people wanted to help me by, don't wait that long because you will forget the information, sit for it again. So I would just schedule it like a month after the failed attempt. And actually, like, not actually, like, as we can see, it didn't work for me, right? 3 times in a row. And I remember I didn't pass by 20 points, then by 15, then by 10. And it's like, no, I have to do something different here. Of course, I'm close to passing, but I'm not passing. So that's when I said, I'm going to rest, because then I had TMJD, migraines. I went through depression, and I was like, no, I got to just stop, refresh my mind. This year, I had to go and sit with the board here at Utah board because of my failed attempts. So many things were giving me information that if you're gonna do this, right? Because I always had the option of just saying, you know what, I'm not gonna do this anymore. But I always wanted to do it. I was like, I want to pass the HVP, but this time I will need to do something different. And I think that Dr. Erica, I remember doing research and I found two more coaches. And I remember calling mommy, my mom, and mommy said, Dr. Erica, she's the one. Something tells me on the description that you're giving me about her work, I think that she's gonna be a good fit. And that's it. She
Right.
was.
And she was, and she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you tell someone who's considering starting coaching with her?
I think that I would repeat to be as open, as honest about our needs, right? About our strengths, about our areas of growth. I think that those are the most important ones, because then she can help us really like target those areas. And of course, I will respect people's like medical and personal needs, and I would highly recommend the combination of a medical like support. In my case, I got a propranolol that I combined with my psychotherapy coaching and my self-care practices. So it was a huge combo that worked out for me. And I'm really respectful, right, of the psychotropic aspect, because people have their own like history. But I would say, yeah, check in with your medical provider to explore options. That was wonderful for me.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Getting as much help and support as you can
Mhm.
to get this exam done is important, and stigma is real. And so being able to
Mhm.
just hear from other students and myself even that we needed to get some extra support to be able to calm the anxiety to sit down and take this exam is huge. And so I hope that people really hear that and
Yeah,
take that away.
yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, you're
I
fine.
agree with you. And getting accommodations, if there are any accommodations that you can get for the exam. I got an individual room. I was just by myself doing the exam, and a extension of time, and that made a huge difference. Like I had lunch this time. I wouldn't eat in the other like the failed attempts. At this time, I ate a sandwich. Every 30 questions, I would stand up and do my stretches. People, I don't care what the testing room like people thought of me, but I did yoga positions. Did stretching. I did everything like breathing exercises. I did prayers. I'm not longer I don't identify necessarily as religious, but as a child I remember doing my prayers, and I even like got back to those parts of me that when we were younger. And yes, everything that could help me.
You need everything. Good for
Oh yeah.
you. And then, what is something that you're really looking forward to doing now that you're finished, or something that you've been able to do since you passed the exam?
Oh yes, there are many trainings that I want to do. Like I mostly do trauma focused therapy and DBT, but I would like to get more foundational training, and a better salary. I need the monies, right? I'm looking forward to that. So an employment that hopefully can provide like more like a better income that is gonna match, right, the license. And honestly, short term, I want to move back home, and I always had this dream of providing like psychoeducation to marginalized and vulnerable communities, right? Making sure that that evidence-based information gets to the people. So hopefully I will create like I don't know, alliances in Puerto Rico in which I can go and provide talks for people, for communities. That's like a dream. Of course, while hopefully combining with who knows teaching, doing my psychotherapy, right? Like whether that is like on telehealth or in person at a hospital, or I don't know, many ideas. As you can tell, I have many ideas, but the ones about providing talks, whether that is to communities or private agencies, companies, I would love to do that, in which we teach people about, self-care practices and yeah.
Yes, well, I hope that you're able to do that and congratulations in advance in
Oh,
being able
congratulations
to
to you.
do, thank you, being able to do all those things that you've been thinking about doing and feeling just like a weight is off your shoulder, to be able to do it. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Rivera, for Dr. C, for sharing your story, your amazing story. We wish you nothing but success and happiness in this new journey.